What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Douyu Cup. It's going to be the last game of the group stages where TerrorBlade are going to be going up against Newbee.Miracle. TerrorBlade are down a game. It was close, a lot closer than it was previously, but we'll see if they can actually scrape together a win because this is their last shot. I'm Mikelorus, going to be one of your casters for today. This time joined by GrandisV since HeflaTV had to go. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right, and yeah, as you said earlier, if there ever was a game that TerrorBlade's going to win, it's going to be against Newbee.Miracle, and I only caught the tail end of the first game, but yeah, it just looked like a couple of poor decisions towards the end of the game really cost them, but they held up for a long time, and were able to almost pull it through, and that's a lot more than what we could say from the rest of their performance this tournament. TerrorBlade have not been looking good at all.
So it seems like for TerrorBlade, what I've seen from them overall as a team, that last game where they decided to play it super slow kind of seems to be a little bit more in their wheelhouse. However, they also typically have some decent early game rotations as far as, going around getting a couple of picks with their supports and whatnot. Trying to conflate the two, kind of difficult since those two strategies usually kind of pull in two different directions. But TerrorBlade just have to make sure that mid game is where they actually, keep up the action and keep up the pressure, or just avoid pressure entirely. So if they could do that, I think this team could actually maybe pull it together, maybe do a little bit better in their results. But for right now, Newbee.Miracle banning out the Undying, Storm Spirit getting kicked out along with the Earthshaker Leshrac. We got Tusk as the first pick.
And Queen of Pain and Shadow Fiend available, so I'd expect Queen of Pain to be picked up by TerrorBlade, and they do just that, and then the Shadow Fiend for Miracle would at least be on my radar. But for now, TerrorBlade are going to pick up the Juggernaut. It's a hero that's kind of been creeping up over the last couple of weeks after really falling out of favor quite heavily after the most recent patches have hit. And Juggernaut is starting to be a little bit more relevant. And especially for these Tier 2 Chinese teams, they seem to quite like him.
It did a decent job in the last game. Newbee.Miracle actually got a fully 6-slotted Juggernaut, like completely topped out in items. Not too bad there, so maybe TerrorBlade looking to turn that one around. The problem with this is that Juggernaut is a hero that you can punish if you're Newbee.Miracle. Like, already they have a hero that is kind of anti-Juggernaut in the Tusk. Omni-Slash, Brick Walled by Snowball, doesn't do anything. You can even Walrus Punch to cancel a spin TP. So, as far as that's concerned, Newbee.Miracle are already pretty well positioned to deal with this Juggernaut. And TerrorBlade now up against the Bounty Hunter, Newbee.Miracle, they're going to go aggressive. So Juggernaut is going to be forced to fight a little bit early. And yeah, with Omni-Slash, he does okay. But typically the Juggernauts don't go for maxed out spin, which I still think is a little bit of a bummer. But he will probably have to fight early.
Yeah, especially after the 6.84 nerfs to spin. I think that Blade Fury probably should be maxed in most of the games just because of the cooldown reduction. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. As far as the next couple of heroes are concerned, Miracle are lacking the scaling damage, and TerrorBlade will go ahead and ban out the Viper, another hero that really gives Juggernaut a hard time. And in lane, Queen of Pain also struggles.
5 seconds remaining.
Queen of Pain most likely going to head towards that mid lane. Shadow Fiend, as you said, still available, and if TerrorBlade don't ban that one out, I'm pretty sure Newbee.Miracle will be fine matching up the Shadow Fiend versus Queen of Pain. Not really a terribly slanted matchup either way, and maybe you get a little bit of Bounty Hunter help, who knows. Comboing up with any sort of stun, although the stun setup heroes and the Rubik Shaker, the two most common ones, not really going to be in this pool today. So who knows how they're going to deal with this mid lane. But Queen of Pain not really going to be destroying any mid lanes up against anyone like a Shadow Fiend. So it's going to be a Clockwork to be banned out instead. Neither side really has a ton of initiation, and maybe we're going to see a Spirit Breaker here. I think it's about time for a Spirit Breaker.
Yeah, I'd say so as well. For TerrorBlade, something like a Lion would not only be a good support for them, but also something that would work incredibly good for Miracle. When you run the Bounty Hunter, you kind of need a support that can roll with a lot of CC, or at least hold his own, and Lion fits that bill nicely. Spirit Breaker is going to be the pick for TerrorBlade, kind of to be expected, just a good offlane initiator. He's not without his weaknesses, and an instant disable to pull him out of charge would be wonderful for Newbee.Miracle, but in general, still the benefits outweigh the detriments to the team.
The problem is with, Lion is probably the easiest pick right now. They need fast stuns since they're up against Queen of Pain, they're up against Spirit Breaker. Someone like a Witch Doctor is decent, but you can very rarely cask stun Spirit Breaker out of his charge, especially if he's charging you. Maybe if he's charging an allies, but even then, a high level charge will I think, outrace a cask. I'm not sure about that, but it'll make it so that the cask isn't very effective, let's just say. So Newbee.Miracle instead going to delay that problem a little bit longer and grab a Phantom Lancer. This is an okay hero here, although I don't think it's really well positioned to deal with the Queen of Pain. And it's also 3 melee heroes in the Newbee.Miracle side. Up against a Queen of Pain, up against a Juggernaut. Things can get really hairy really quickly if they don't watch their spacing.
Well, even the Spirit Breaker is pretty good against all of these melee heroes. Anybody that's going to be clumped up really gives you a lot of value from the charge. TerrorBlade gonna pick up the Ancient Apparition. It's a hero that they like playing probably a little too much, at least in my opinion. Ancient Apparition is good, and the Ice Blast coming out from TerrorBlade are generally on point, but the hero's not without its weaknesses. It's going to be split pushing, or at least in a lane by himself, trying to be away from the fight so he can get the best Ice Blast as possible. And that does leave him open to being ganked by the Bounty Hunter, and also, he doesn't have that good amount of CC. Chilling Touch is okay damage early on, and that's not to be taken away from him, but Ancient Apparition kind of feels like a one-trick pony.
Yeah, it's like the decision tree for picking up Ancient Apparition is, do the enemies have healing? If yes, pick Ancient Apparition, or consider picking Ancient Apparition. If no, then don't. Like, that's pretty much the only unique thing that Ancient Apparition gives. Yes, level 1 is really good with the Chilling Touch, but with a whole bunch of melee heroes, it's kind of hard to apply that Chilling Touch, so they will need to look for, most likely, another support hero. The lane's TerrorBlade, they're going to be pretty strong. I assume Spirit Breaker going to go towards bottom, Queen of Pain mid, Juggernaut, Ancient Apparition, probably like a Witch Doctor or something, as the last hero on their lane on the top lane, and that's a decent way to go. Maybe a little bit AoE light to deal with this Phantom Lancer, but still, Ancient Apparition, who said, is prone to getting just caught out in lane time and time again up against heroes that are always on the roam, like the Bounty Hunter and the Tusk, and you're not going to be canceling any healing now. Maybe you are a little bit, but still Dazzle, even though he can't heal with the Shadow Wave, can save people from shattering with the Grave.
Yeah, it's somewhat of a interesting dynamic between the Ancient Apparition and Dazzle, because if the Ancient Apparition lands the Ice Blast onto a Grave target, it's pretty much a guaranteed kill, unless the Grave was unnecessary to begin with, and yeah, as you said, the Dazzle can counteract that Ice Blast. In general, Ancient Apparition kind of feels like an okay hero, but nothing too stellar. As far as the last picks are concerned for either side, well, let's see. Newbee.Miracle presumably lacking a mid lane. On the Radiant side especially, something like a Shadow Fiend could work out nicely for them. Another weakness of Ancient Apparition is that he can't roam by himself, and that would mean that it's just the Queen of Pain in mid, although maybe there's some intervention from the Spirit Breaker. In general, a TP in from the Dazzle should keep the Shadow Fiend safe 9 times out of 10 from that.
You can even have the Dazzle hang around the mid lane quite a bit. Shadow Fiend typically doesn't need that much help, but being able to stack up the Radiant jungle camp, something that Dazzle can very easily do, so that Shadow Fiend can blast it down, recover, or even pull ahead with that stacking. For right now, though, it's going to be TerrorBlade up to make the first ban, and it's not exactly clear what Newbee.Miracle are going to be angling for, because the weakness of that Shadow Fiend up against Spirit Breaker especially is definitely tangible. He's far, far from a durable hero, so at that point, is it even really worth going for? What are the alternatives for the mid lane? Knowing the Queen of Pain is going to be going there, you really don't want to be going for any sort of melee hero, because that's just where the lane gets really messy.
It's going to be a Templar Assassin ban, actually, coming up from TerrorBlade. I think Templar Assassin kind of falls in a similar group to the Shadow Fiend, and in general, especially on the Radiant side, Shadow Fiend has a slight edge over the TA. He's able to flash farm a lot quicker. Even though the Templar Assassin can have access to Ancients and access to Roshan, in lane, also I think the TA does a little bit worse against the Queen of Pain. With the Sentry, it's a fairly even matchup. Neither of those heroes should be killing each other. They both should just farm to their heart's content, but I think Shadow Fiend would probably have been a better ban coming out from TerrorBlade. I think it's more in line with what Miracle are wanting. But as far as alternates are concerned, let's talk about the Jakiro pick for a while. TerrorBlade, gonna pick that up next. Very interesting. A lot of early pushing bar coming out from the Healing Ward and the Jakiro's Liquid Fire. In general, though, I'm not sure if this is really necessary coming out from TerrorBlade. Gives him a lot of AoE, but it's not burst AoE damage. It's going to mess with the Phantom Lancer that much.
And Jakiro is kind of an awkward hero to apply Chilling Touch to, because he is kind of clunky, kind of slow, and doesn't have a ton of CC. Newbee.Miracle just grabbed the DK, so they are going to have the DK just rough it versus the Queen of Pain. It's a hard call to make, obviously, since melee versus range, DK versus Queen of Pain, it's a definitely a difficult matchup there. But on the line of this Jakiro, yeah, it does offer them, in theory, some push, but Liquid Fire does really well in the early game to push, as does Healing Ward, if you have big creeps to actually capitalize on that. So like that's where Chen comes in, that's where Enchantress comes in, that's where anyone with a summon comes in, and TerrorBlade have no summons, so that's a little bit awkward. Jakiro doesn't have any setup right now except for a possible charge landing, and that's far from reliable. So as far as laying an ice path down and having that connect, they're really going to struggle for that. I don't see the upside here of Jakiro. I love the hero, man. Like, I think he should be played a little bit more, maybe just try to apply a little bit more pressure towards those towers. Generally a good idea, but in this game, any tower pressure that they apply is going to be very marginal.
Yeah, and that's it. Let's go ahead and introduce our lineups on the dire side of the map. It is TerrorBlade, Aiden going to be playing the Spirit Breaker, going to the offlaner, supporting duo. It's going to be Gum playing on the Ancient Apparition, Jakiro handled by Long B, Queen of Pain played by Socks, and last but not least, it's the Juggernaut to round out their lineup.
Chang is going to be playing Bounty Hunter on the Newbee.Miracle side. We got Christina farming as the Phantom Lancer with 621 on the Tusk. Origami is going to be playing the Dazzle. That leaves KKK on the Dragon Knight. Looks like they might get into a fight over the level 1 Bounty Rune up towards top. Or the minute 0 Bounty Rune, rather. This is where it gets kind of messy because, well, you're up against an Ancient Apparition. And as Newbee, you never really want to go into a Chilling Touch squad, even if it is 4v5. Although, Gum does not have vision of the high ground right now. Okay, now he does. Still Ice Shards available. Snowball. How many heroes in? There's 3. Chilling Touch not leveled. He's going to get hit with that. Now Breathe Fire. Ice Path onto 3, however, with the spin damage there. They're going to turn things around with the Chilling Touch. Do a lot of damage to this Dragon Knight. Not quite enough for lethal, and then now get onto Socks right now. But that's also not quite going to be enough. Everyone else is going to disengage. Big Ice Path there from the Jakiro. Also, Chilling Touch is ridiculously OP at these minute 0 skirmishes.
It's going to cost Juggernaut his salve to keep the Queen of Pain inside the mid lane, but nobody has to go all the way back to base. The Bounty Hunter may be the exception, but he's sticking around a while longer yet. Cheng has a salve himself and is just going to rely on Tango Region to sustain as he goes through the map. The lanes are going to shake down pretty much as to be expected, with the exception being top lane for the Newbee.Miracle side. It's an aggressive tri-lane, Tusk, Dazzle, and Phantom Lancer.
I thought Tusk would be taking the role of the solo laner, and then Bounty Hunter will be more on the roam path. But with the Jakiro pick, I guess the upside of him is that it's very hard to pick off a Jakiro ever because he is so tanky, especially for an intelligence hero. This combo, is it really dangerous though? Like, Juggernaut already has spin, and Newbee already know about that. They don't really have any great ways of cutting through that. Phantom Lancer does pretty good damage, but really needs his lance to contribute in a definitive way to a gank, and Shadow Wave is far from reliable as far as nuking him down. They will snowball in, force out a spin. I guess every single time you snowball in to spin, it's kind of a win since Juggernaut doesn't have that much mana.
And also, the cooldown, if you look at both of his spells, Snowball's cooldown is only about half the cooldown of the spin. So if they go in the next 20 seconds or so, Juggernaut's not going to have it available. And since he has a very low mana pool, it is quite a large victory. It makes going aggressive a lot easier. Down the bottom lane, Bounty Hunter's up against a Spirit Breaker Jakiro, a very annoying lane for anybody to deal with. But the good news for Bounty Hunters, they probably won't be able to zone him out of experience range, especially with no True Sight on either of these heroes. That pretty much means that Bounty Hunters conceded free experience.
Top lane, Snowball gonna connect onto the Juggernaut once again, this time with the Spirit Lance. Heal a little bit too late, and they don't have shards yet. This lane gets a lot more dangerous once they do have those ice shards, but up until that point, Juggernaut, even without spin, taking a marginal amount of damage, is going to shrug that one off pretty easily, and that's probably what's going to happen a lot in this lane. Even Ancient Apparition, should he have been the target of that Snowball, would have been fine to just shake it off. So, yeah, Newbee, they're not really running with a bunch of kill potential over in that top lane. We do have, rotation out from Chang at the perfect timing. This is going to be a bottle snipe. You don't expect that from from a solo lane Bounty Hunter. You expect him to stick in lane and get experience the entire time.
Yeah, and that's the big issue with not having detection in the lane, because they had no idea the Bounty Hunter could have been invis in the bottom lane. They wouldn't have had a clue. That's a big deal. Queen of Pain's mid lane just got a lot harder. Dragon Knight up until this point was getting more than doubled up in CS, but now he's going to feel a lot more safe. He's able to bottle Crow himself, sustaining his spam of the Breathe Fire, and without having to worry about Shadow Strike or Scream at all from the Queen of Pain. She has not enough mana to cast either one of those spells. Now she does, but only once, and even then it's going to sacrifice her defensive blink. That helps so much. It's really hard to quantify how big that is for 3 minutes.
and just having like Breathe Fire as his primary farming tool, it's, well, gonna get him farm, but most of the time the Breathe Fire also lands on the enemy hero, like we're seeing right now. Socks is, well, now with a little bit less damage, which may or may not be relevant, but he's eventually going to get to a point where he has to fall back out of the lane, simply because he can't stand the spam of the Dragon Knight. Yes, that sentence was actually spoken today. So Queen of Pain having a rough time. Like at this point, she can't really stay here anymore. Like she maybe is a little bit scared of rotation perhaps, but just another Breathe Fire will just straight up kill her off. So this Dragon Knight now is getting a much easier time. You can see him recovering in CS, and Queen of Pain playing scared. It was doubled up, now only 5 more creeps going towards this Queen of Pain. TerrorBlade, they're actually having the Spirit Breaker play support with what seems like a core Jakiro, even though Long B was playing the support hero, and Jakiro is typically a support hero in general, but he's getting solo lanes worth of experience. A high-level Jakiro can bring down towers, and that's not what I expected from TerrorBlade.
No, if they're going to go for this, I'd like to see the Spirit Breaker go for some sort of rotation or try to set up kills elsewhere. The Jakiro needs no help against the Bounty Hunter solo. If they get a couple of bashes onto the Bounty, maybe they can kill him off, but still, no detection in this bottom lane. I think it's a bit of an oversight, but a lot of that comes down to the bottle snipe as well. The courier being down means that they can't actually bring any to the lane, and it would cost them way too much time.
Well, they're taking down the tower regardless, and Chang's actually going to reveal himself. Charge available. Oh, straight into the shadows, straight into that salve. So he's going to survive for a little while longer. This Bounty Hunter is getting quite a bit of experience. He's almost level 5, 4 minutes, 37 seconds into the game. Yeah, his tower is not going to last for much longer, but the upside of this is that TerrorBlade most likely would just rotate out with those heroes.
Oh, Tusk! He snowballs in under the tower, and the Juggernaut doesn't even need to use the spin to dodge the stun. 61 takes a lot of damage, but on the same token, without having spin for the next couple of seconds, Phantom Lance is going to go for the dive. Not enough for another Spirit Lance, or he had another Spirit Lance, but not going to find the angle for it. 621 going to be dove on, but they have another snowball at the ready. They'll kill off the healing ward, another dagger, or not dagger, lance into the jug, and it looks like he's going to die, but not before the Tusk with a bash. Aeon secures first blood.
I don't know if that 17% would have been relevant there, but he gets the first blood regardless, and they also take down the tier 1 tower while all that was happening. It was a very long skirmish and really showing the awkwardness of this Newbee.Miracle offensive tri-lane. Like, the plan here is that you get really close, you get a lot of illusions, you nuke them down with the heal bomb. That's fine in theory, but most of the time it's just not going to work out like that. So it is a 1-for-1 trade, so not really a huge favor towards either team, but the fact that Spirit Breaker got that first blood right before the Juggernaut died, gonna make him a much happier hero. Though rotating the Spirit Breaker off the bottom lane means that Bounty Hunter sticking on this bottom lane with pretty much no mana is almost at his level 6.
And even though top lane's an awkward lane when it comes to getting kills, they're applying a lot of pressure to the Juggernaut and stopping him from farming. The Juggernaut's more than being doubled up than the Phantom Lancer, which is his lane opponent. Oh, bottom lane, the Jakiro dropping low with the Orb of Venom, so they might have enough damage, but the Bounty Hunter is very low. Looks like they'll still be able to secure this. Unfortunate for them, they don't have track available. And Chang, if he gets on the wrong side, this charge would almost be lethal. He's going to be ice pathed up. The liquid fire damage doesn't quite snag him. He will live, but Tusk, not lucky for him, will be killed off by the Queen of Pain coming in. That's a close call for Chang. And honestly, I don't really feel that this is a good position to be in. Any sort of damage would kill him.
Don't breathe, Bounty Hunter. That was so close. If the charge was a little bit more to the south, that would have just been Chang randomly getting hit by that AoE. He's still sticking around because just one more creep will give him that level 6, but if he's revealed at all, a charge will blow him up. There we go. Level 6 acquired on the Bounty Hunter. Still, it's an even trade after all is said and done. 1-for-1. KKK, though, gonna pop a haste rune, trying to outrun the Spirit Breaker. Doing a pretty damn good job of it. Now here comes 621, trying to block off the escape. Fails to do so. Snowballs in regardless. With the Dragon Tail there, Dragon Knight's going to get way up to the north, and Tusk now is the one in awkward position. There is no Nether Strike. There is no more Blink. Not yet, at least. And it looks like KKK thinking about just circling back around. Never mind. But now that the Bounty Hunter has level 6, he can roam around the lane, free up another lane for another hero to farm. And now Newbee.Miracle might be looking for a couple of picks. They have the Dragon form, so they have that ranged stun active in the Dragon Tail.
And now the tracks are going to fly. It's a very early time for Bounty Hunter to get that track since he was lane solo safe. He got so much experience, and throughout the game, this Bounty Hunter is gotten a lot done. He's been involved in one kill, got a career snipe, and now that the vision's there, ooh, mid lane. Sox is going to be stunned by the Dragon Tail, but that's a little too aggressive for the Dragon Knight himself. Tusk comes in, Ice Shards, but it's not going to be enough to save him. They're going to snowball in onto the Queen of Pain. They'll blow her up, but KKK is presumably going to lose his life. Now with the Shallow Grave, Liquid Fire is going to be lethal. Trying to bubble up through that damage is not going to succeed. Jakiro gets that kill, but the Spirit Breaker, he's tracked up, and a little bit more damage is all they need. No way to cancel him out of that charge. He's going to be just fine. A 1-for-1 mid lane trade.
That was a 1-for-1 though with a track on the Queen of Pain, so very much so worth it for Newbee, especially Chang, who's really happy that that happened. But yeah, just that track being there made it worth it. Ballsy play from the Tusk. I thought he was just gonna snowball as close as he can, try to, you know, break the snowball off and then let the Dragon Knight run away. But no, manning the hell up, and as a DK, as a Tusk, the more you man up, generally the more successful you are. So it is going to be a pretty successful engagement for the Newbee side. They also have track onto Long B. It's going to fade soon, but Chang is in the air, almost to snipe that courier again. That would have just been insult to injury, but the DK did use his Dragon Forms for that. So the tier 1 mid lane is going to survive for a little while longer, but crucially, TerrorBlade had, I don't think the Juggernaut was farming the top lane effectively in the time, whereas Christina was. So this Phantom Lancer is starting to pull ahead in the farm department. Juggernaut really struggling to keep up.
Yeah, if you compare his net worth to the other heroes in this game, he's below the Jakiro, Spirit Breaker, and Queen of Pain on his team. It's not a good spot to be if you're the Juggernaut. Generally regarded as a pretty fast farming hero, but that's only when you get items like Mask of Madness, Yasha up. Until then, Juggernaut really struggles. He has no natural way to clear out creep waves.
And he doesn't have a ton of stacks either. A couple stacks in his jungle, but nothing to write home about. He's sticking in the middle lane as well. Juggernaut would love to use an Omni Slash, but will that actually do anything? We got a charge heading down towards the bottom lane, not towards the Tusk. So now with charge down, Spirit Breaker is not going to be in any of these fights should they break out, and one might break out on top. Gum is spotted right now, stuck in a corner, will straight TP out. Someone else is teleporting in. It's the Juggernaut. That was a little bit awkward, but still, no one's going to die just yet. Seems like both teams happy to just get a little bit more experience, but while this is happening, while everyone has suddenly left the mid lane, DK has his Dragon Form up. He can destroy this tower.
And there is also a 4 stack of Ancients that's been prepped by the Dazzle. Although nobody can farm that yet. Once Dragon Knight gets level 11, they're probably just going to straight pop that ultimate form and take out that stack. That's a huge lump sum of gold for whoever's going to finish up those last hits. Probably the DK himself, but that's a big deal.
They're probably just going to do it as a team, so it's just like a whole bunch of gold for everyone. But still, he's at 2,000 gold right now. If you're saving this much gold as DK, it kind of says Shadowblade or Blink Dagger one way to get into those fights. They're going to pop the Dragon Form, go for this tower. Sox in the area to deny is going to try for it, but the corrosive damage does do it in. Now Sox, Dragon-tailed up, going to take quite a bit of damage. The Shuriken bouncing through as well. Ayuan going to take a little bit of damage on his way out as well. Has another strike, has charge, so he's not in any trouble of dying. KKK, though, not taking any damage, forcing everyone from TerrorBlade just to fall back. Gets slowed down by the Ice Path, but now Jakiro, he's way too far out ahead. He does have a mechanism right now, but shards are going to fly. Still the damage onto Long B, not quite enough. Charge is going to connect into a couple. Snowball in onto Ayuan. The Dragon Knight's running low on mana. Sonic Wave over the top onto 3. Origami does go down, as does the Bounty Hunter. Dust goes off, and KK is now all alone. This is the problem with running into a 4v5 lineup. You run out of heroes real quick. Queen of Pain is going to pop the DK. They see 621. They're going to charge him down. No Nether Strike, probably not needed. They also do scout out this Ancient stack. They can't clear it, but they do know about it. And they're guaranteed this Tusk kill almost for sure. But Tusk grabs the Spirit Breaker kill with the shards. That was pretty slick, but still, it's a 1-for-4 in exchange for TerrorBlade. They only lose their tower.
A lot of that comes down to just questionable positioning and plays from Newbee.Miracle. They get a little too over-aggressive, and they just didn't have the damage to finish off any of those kills. The Dragon Knight and the Bounty Hunter go onto the Queen of Pain wasn't coordinated very well. They didn't have a Breathe Fire available to blow her up. If the Queen of Pain dies at the beginning of that fight and they get that track kill, it goes so much better for them. But since Queen of Pain was able to rejoin with the Scream and Sonic Wave, that's pretty much what set everything up for their team. And TerrorBlade, that's much needed golden experience for everybody. But in the meantime, you have a Phantom Lancer that's farming freely. Christina wasn't involved in that engagement and is farming with Boots of Travel up.
And since travels are up, maybe next time Christina will be able to join that fight. But still, for TerrorBlade, they get a pretty nice win. I think there was only one track kill involved. It was an awkward way to start that fight as DK was very quickly running low on mana. So no burst, no CC, at least not enough. Now maybe looking towards Sox. He has another true form up, but killing off this Queen of Pain within the duration of one Dragon Tail. Not going to happen at a level 1 tail. So he will back off. Tower has been destroyed after all is said and done. They're actually looking towards Ayuan. No, just trying to push him out to farm. But yeah, it was a fight that definitely did benefit the TerrorBlade side. And also now Gum has his level 6, which, again, is not really going to be canceling a ton of healing this game. But still, having that additional nuke, having that additional threat of getting sniped is relevant for him.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's the only thing that Ancient Apparition is going to be contributing in this fight, or in these next upcoming fights. Maybe the amp coming out from Ice Vortex will be relevant, but at this point, the Chilling Touch isn't really going to change that much of anything. Charge down bottom lane. They're going to jump onto Christina with the Nether Strike, Sonic Wave, Scream, and everything. The Phantom Lancer still won't die because of the shallow grave. Can he get out to safety afterwards, however, is the question. The answer is no, but they get the Queen of Pain in return. Chang dusted up under the tower, crit down by the Juggernaut, execution style, and now Dazzle looking for the TP. He's going to succeed. There's no Spirit Breaker even to hope for that first hit bash.
It's really weird of Newbee to push that far with only a handful of heroes, especially a hero like Bounty Hunter in the area. Maybe we'll mess with their numbers a bit since, yeah, he's there. Doesn't actually do that much, however. It is a track kill on the Queen of Pain, however, so it's a 1-for-2 track versus not tracked. More even than it ordinarily would be, but still in favor of the TerrorBlade side. And with Jakiro having so much in the mechanism and the maxed out liquid fire, TerrorBlade, if they take another similar fight, they can go straight in for the rest of the tier 1s. Hell, even push tier 2s, at least start thinking about it. They're going to be spotted out by a Dazzle. Looks like there's going to be no jump in there, but TerrorBlade, if they really want to, they can play the slow game now that they have the Hand of Midas on the Spirit Breaker, or they can just go straight in with the Jakiro. Lance is going to be thrown. Ice Path will similarly miss. Omnislash in the back line is not going to do jack, in fact. As the Ice Blast does come in, it will connect into Origami. Looks like this Dazzle is going to die to this Juggernaut, but in the main fight, charge onto 621. That's Tusk down. Christina dropping very low as well, as Chang is stuck in the middle of everything. He's spotted by a random Sentry Ward that was dropped. No, out of range now, but he will pick off the Jakiro as he does try to run with the Shuriken, as KK is still standing his ground. Versus 3 heroes, that's not going to happen. Is he stuck? No, he's not, but he's going to die anyway. It's a triple kill for Sox, and it's a 4-for-2 exchange. That fight, man, that fight is not the one that Newbee really wanted.
The Juggernaut's Omnislash, even though it didn't get kills, it drew the attention of the Tusk and the Dazzle, and without their help, that fight was very spread out, and also the Phantom Lancer didn't join that at all, I want to say. Christina, I don't think was relevant. It was a 4v5. That's just not an engagement that Newbee.Miracle can take, especially when they are split up. It wasn't even a 4v5, it's more like 2v5s. Ice Shards will wall off the Juggernaut even through his spin, trying to run away as they focus down Aeon instead. Charge away by the Spirit Breaker will succeed. They're really run into the issue that they don't have great ways to cancel that charge, and TerrorBlade will cleanly retreat.
They only have a couple of CC forms, and that's not exactly easy to land on a charging Spirit Breaker. Dragon Tail, Shuriken, maybe landing. Oh, maybe he's going to go for it, actually. Shuriken is there. Earn charge. Chang does grab the kill, and he gets another track off as well. Here comes the Tusk. Maybe he wants a little bit of piece of the action. Shard's going to throw. Will not wall, but still will damage. And with the Walrus Punch, they should be able to take out the Ancient Apparition. That's 2 track kills for Chang. That's a pretty nice series of pickoffs right there.
That helps out the Tusk so much as well, going to be going towards that mechanism, and even though it's 2 less important pickoffs, it's a gold swing of almost 2,000 over those 2 years. A little bit less, but close enough to where it's a very, very significant turn of events. Mid lane Trek can go onto the Jakiro, and I think TerrorBlade, they just don't have the appropriate detection to punish this Bounty Hunter, and that kind of comes with running the Spirit Breaker as a support, as well as running the Ancient Apparition. Neither of those heroes want to be buying detection. They'd much rather be going for their Hands of Midases, the Ags on the Ancient Apparition, or BKB, bigger items for the Spirit Breaker. And, well, bottom lane, charge over onto the Phantom Lancer. Not a lot of mana for the PL. He does have enough for 1 Doppelganger, and just going to casually come in and Midas the creep.
Alright, so there goes the Spirit Breaker, making Christina perhaps a little bit scared, but luckily for him, doesn't really have much to worry about. Really, Newbee's team fight is non-existent. They have to keep getting those single target picks like they just have on that top lane, and ooh, the giant stack of Ancients finally being cleared out by the DK, but their team fight never really going to be comparable to that with the Jakiro, Mechanism, Omnislash, Ice Blast, and a Queen of Pain, so Newbee.Miracle should just do their best to try to avoid that, and just try to, like, split push, get random pickoffs with the Shadow-Bladed DK, and then once there are 3 enemy heroes together, just avoid that like the plague. Like, even right now, they may be pressured to defend their tier 1 tower, but I don't really think they can. If they get into a fight right now, I think TerrorBlade should just instantly win it.
despite losing fights and not getting the kills that they'd like to, Newbee.Miracle are still out farming the enemy's side and getting a lot of space for the PL. Tier 1 tower in mid going to be attacked by the Juggernaut with the spin still activated. They're going to go into Chang. He shall look great, but that's only going to delay the inevitable. The amount of dot onto this poor bounty hunter. He's going to take down Tier 1 tower destroyed by the Jakiro. And TerrorBlade will be able to retreat cleanly and maybe even find a kill in turn. KKK going to drop the Sonic Wave, but most of it's blocked by the Ice Ball away by the Tusk. Buyback from the Bounty Hunter wants to get involved to drop tracks on any of these heroes if they could kill them off, but it looks like the answer is no. TP out by the Jakiro, cancelled by the Shuriken. Long B will be the cost of that retreat. Even so, the buyback of the Bounty Hunter makes that not the greatest of turns for the Newbee.Miracle side. Bounty Hunter losing so much gold.
And even though he did get the track kill off, it didn't really benefit him that much since he had the whatever minus buyback gold effect on him. So he didn't get a ton of cash, although his allies still got the same amount. TerrorBlade, they do get the tower, and they do take a very clean win. I don't really know why the Bounty Hunter started that fight. Like, he just went up and tried to poke someone. And as a Bounty Hunter, you can't really afford to do that versus the Queen of Pain. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, TerrorBlade walk away with a pretty clean trade. They take down yet another tower. It wasn't as decisive as I really thought it would be, but that's mostly because everyone at Newbee just got away from that Sonic Wave as soon as it was thrown. So Sonic Wave was pretty much completely airballed, although it was supposed to hit heroes. It didn't. Newbee get away with, I think, probably the best fight that they could have asked for. Like, again, these tier 1 defenses are where Newbee are at their weakest, and they still came away with a kind of even trade, and now they're going to try to crack back into a tier 1 of their own. Chang doesn't have any tracks out just yet, but they do see Long B, and they're going to start with that Corrosive. Long B is actually all alone right now. No way to get on top of him, however. Snowball would be, I think, a little bit too slow, especially now that the Ancient Apparition is in the area. They're just going to back off and sacrifice this tier 1.
How long will the advantage that TerrorBlade have inside these fights last? I'm not sure it's going to be long enough for them to consider going for high ground or even for these tier 2 towers. The Phantom Lancer is starting to pick up a lot of net worth. He's finished his Diffusal Blade on top of having his Boots of Travel. And with this Diff Blade, it's going to be very hard for TerrorBlade to fight into it. The Juggernaut, the Spirit Breaker, all very mana dependent heroes. And once they're drained, there's not much that they can do to fight back. And even the Queen of Pain, to a lesser extent, really does need every bit of mana that she can get to get off the full burst combination.
It's going to be really troublesome moving forward. They don't really have any hero that's getting farm comparable to the Phantom Lancer, especially with Gum getting maybe picked off. Another track kill? No. Well, no, he will get flattened actually by 621. Will probably lose his life in exchange for it, but it's a 1-for-1 with the track involved. Worth it so far, especially if there's another fight with the tracks still flowing. No Ancient Apparition, no Tusk. Looks like everyone's going to back off right now, but yeah, Phantom Lancer's getting a ton of farm right now. And even though Juggernaut's late game is pretty good, he is going for a Battle Fury, so he will have the anti-Phantom Lancer item. He's just not getting farm fast enough at the moment as compared to Crusader, who's getting a ton of free time and will farm a lot more quickly with every item that he picks up. Like, every item that he gets is going to accelerate his farm by quite a margin. So, yeah, TerrorBlade, they kind of had to keep going. Jakiro is a hero that does fall off pretty heavily in the later stages of the game. He could still push towers decently, but the damage that he does with the Liquid Fire, with the Ice Path, with the Dual Breath, it really falls. So they got to keep looking for these towers, and they have to look for some full 5-on-5 team fights.
Yeah, or maybe go for a Roshan. With the Mask of Madness, Juggernaut can very easily take that fight, and it's really where Jakiro and Ancient Apparition shine. To a lesser extent, the Queen of Pain. Those choke points are really a good place for TerrorBlade to take engagements and a terrible spot for Newbee.Miracle. They want these small skirmishes instead, and we might be seeing one shortly. Onto the Spirit Breaker. The DK is coming in, smoked up. They have the Shadow Blade initiation. Even if they didn't smoke, this would still be completely unspotted by Dire Vision. The Spirit Breaker has no real right to be farming this safe lane since they don't have the vision to back him up, and he's going to get snowballed upon. The Dragon Knight's coming from the south. He's blown sky high. And the other side of the map, though, the Phantom Lancer's caught out by the Queen of Pain. It's a good trade numbers wise for Newbee.Miracle since they get a track kill for 4, but losing the Phantom Lancer at this point is not something that they can afford to do.
The whole point of going for these ganks is to get Phantom Lancer space. Like, otherwise, no need for it. Just let the Dragon Knight farm up Ancients, farm up stacks and whatever, and then get him to a late game stage as well. But going for these kills is supposed to pull the attention away from the Phantom Lancer, yet Queen of Pain somehow managing to get that one by herself. Was not watching that because it was a lot more interesting to see whether or not the Spirit Breaker will be able to charge away, but they actually do catch Long B with the track, with the Shuriken, Snowball in as well. There is a Sonic Wave to connect onto 2 right now. Macquarie drop, that'll kill off the Tusk. Chang taking a lot of damage as well. This Ice Blast effect is on him, and with Sox jumping forward, the Queen of Pain will snag that kill. Now into Origami they'll go. Brave TP needs to be casted right now as Dragon Knight's actually charged up. Ice Path will cancel the TP escape from Origami, so he's 100% screwed, and they still have that charge incoming. Is there a true sight? There is in the Jakiro, there is in the Spirit Breaker, and there's an entire army on the tail of this DK. He's going to drop. Nether Strike is there, into an Ice Path, into a Shadow Strike, into a Scream, into everything, absolutely everything. That's going to be, in the grand scheme of things, a full 5-man wipe for TerrorBlade. They only lose that one hero, Spirit Breaker, to start things off.
Newbee.Miracle consistently this game have kept a net worth advantage just by farming, but every time they go into these fights, it's not even a true 5v5 fight, and even if it were, they're just not strong enough to take these engagements. They get caught out one by one, they get spread out very far by necessity to try and retreat, but it isn't working for them. Newbee.Miracle need to find just small pickoffs, small skirmishes. You have a Dagon up for the Bounty Hunter, and that's going to help if they can find those opportunities. TerrorBlade, although it's costing them farm, are just grouping up, and it's keeping them safe for the most part.
It is kind of a side effect of having a off-lane Bounty Hunter. Like, this is a support Tusk we're talking about, support Dazzle, and then a Bounty Hunter thrown in there as well. And Bounty Hunter nowadays is more regarded as a support hero just because, yeah, he can get to a point where he does a lot of damage that is never really achieved in a game of Dota. So they're working with essentially damage dealers in the DK and isolated burst spells. They have no sustained damage output, at least not yet. Christina's not quite there yet. And as far as their burst damage is concerned, it's not even that high. A little bit higher now that the Bounty Hunter has his Dagon, so maybe he'll be able to snag some extra kills with that one. But Dazzle's not exactly a damage dealer. Tusk does okay in one short burst, as does Bounty, but after that, they're just all out of gas. Whereas for TB, they have, yeah, they're 2 support heroes, but like Jakiro, Spirit Breaker, they're both kind of in the 4 position, if that makes any sense. Like, they're both getting a ton of farm. They're contributing a hell of a lot. They're going to try to look for Sox in the mid lane. That's just not going to happen. So, yeah, Newbee just have to use this burst, use the burst power of the Dagon and the Tusk combo to get kills. Going for these tower pushes, that's a bad idea.
It's very risky. KKK is going to start working onto the tier 2 tower down the bottom lane. But he's charged up, and although that charge is cancelled, Newbee.Miracle, I don't think they can go for any more now that the Queen of Pain is there. They do have vision, and the Dragon Knight wants to open up. He goes for one of the tankier targets in the Spirit Breaker. They still might be able to kill him off, but another strike will be cast onto 621. They'll get the track kill onto the Spirit Breaker, but now that the Omni Slash flies through, everybody's dropping so low with the Battle Fury Cleave going through. Origami's going to be spun down. Blink and Scream. Sox will secure another one. The Phantom Blades are starting to do quite a bit with the Diffusal Blade going to town. Sox will die. A lot of gold, but Phantom Lancers, that was beyond godlike spree, and finally Christina is relevant. Long P is going to be focused down, and he might have to spend a Diffusal Blade charge to convincingly get this kill, but it's going to fall into his favor anyway. 4,300 gold on the Phantom Lancer after that. The plan up until this point for Newbee.Miracle was to feed the Queen of Pain.
Okay, it also does help a lot the fact that Christina was arriving last into that fight.
Yeah.
He started the fight, like, by the time you actually saw those Phantom Lancer illusions present, he was at, like, full HP still, which definitely kind of helps. The rest of his team were absorbing everything, and it did not work out very well in the beginning of that fight, but the fact that Phantom Lancer dodged all that damage, was able to arrive while the fight was still going on, really swung that in favor of Newbee.Miracle by the end of it. Yet still in the beginning of it, TerrorBlade, they absolutely crushed Newbee.Miracle. Sonic Wave flew through on a whole bunch of them. Yeah, Grave and Invis got a couple heroes a little bit more to safety, but they did end up going down in the end. The fact that Phantom Lancer arrived at that time with the Diffusal Blade, caught the Queen of Pain in a corner since he did chase with a blink. He blinked to that corner just to try to chase and kill someone. Means that he collects huge. He said 4,300 it was, and now he has 1 ultimate orb up with the Orb of Venom in the bank. He's going to go for a Scotty, and then Phantom Lancer, even if he is in the fight at the start of it, even if he is going to receive a Sonic Wave, he can still continue fighting.
Oh, Ancient Apparition cut out by the Bounty Hunter. A solo kill for Chang and a track one at that, but in return, they should be able to kill him off. He's spotted out. At the very least, they know where he is, even though they technically can't target him. Doesn't matter. They have a Sonic Wave, and that will get the kill for them. However, gold-wise, it's an advantageous trade for the bounty hunter himself.
Any one-for-one trade with a track involved is worth it for the tracking side. That's pretty much no exception. And well, also off of that, KKK did survive for a very long time. Now has a silver edge. There's nothing really fantastic to break on the TerrorBlade side, but still, he gets a lot of extra damage from that and is able to initiate that much more effectively. If they can keep the focus off of the Phantom Lancer and onto the DK, that's of course a win for Newbee. They will run the Tusk right into a very angry duo of Juggernaut and Queen of Pain. They'll let the Tusk though, because they have their eyes set on bigger targets. Christina's already dropped down half HP. Ice Blast is going to connect. He will dodge the Ice Path, but he's dead anyway. That's Phantom Lancer down.
The Phantom Lancer getting picked off is not something that Newbee.Miracle can afford to do still. He wasn't able to complete up his Scotty before dying. He loses quite a large lump sum of gold. He was so very close to having that completed. He loses almost 500. Had he been sitting on a full 500 gold, he would have been able to buy the point booster and finish the item. Next time around, it's going to be a lot harder. He does buy the secondary ultimate orb. We'll have that Scotty soon, but TerrorBlade find themselves a window that wasn't there before. Oh, Dragon Tail is going to be thrown onto what, however? I don't think that stunned anybody.
Yeah, it didn't. Like, it seemed like the Blade Fury just ate it. Now the Omnislash is there. Not going to do a ton of damage, so I guess, you know, spells for spells being traded as the tracks do start to stack up. There is no Phantom Lancer here, and TerrorBlade know that without that hero, they can still take a fight. Dragon Tail's not a projectile, so I think he cast it on the Juggernaut. It seemed like that was the target. I have no idea what the hell happened there, but they still see Longbee. Dragon Tail, it's in time, and Longbee will die. He has to heal himself to get rid of the track, but too late. He gets punched sky high.
Sometimes Dota is finicky whenever it sends the packets, and maybe that was just server lag to where the Juggernaut didn't get stunned, or maybe it was a creep that died to the tower. I have no idea.
Yeah, it doesn't matter anyway. They get the kill on the
change the
Jakiro.
outcome.
They hold their tier 2. It takes quite a bit of damage, but now that Phantom Lancer's alive, Newbee.Miracle can go for a crackback push of their own. Not much Dragon form left. Probably just not even going to lay a single hit on. But TerrorBlade without their mech carrier, their Jakiro, can't really afford to defend this. They probably can get away with an even-ish fight here, but the risk of losing a whole bunch of heroes to track is too high.
And now Christina has the full Scotty after that tier 2 tower falls. They'll fly out to him any second now, and killing the Phantom Lancer next time around is going to be much, much harder. The raw HP pool that he's going to get from this item is pretty darn huge. As you kind of already mentioned, the Sonic Wave is going to be less and less relevant as Phantom Lancer tanks up, and Phantom Lancer now is able to keep his damage sustained throughout the fight. I think this is about the window where Newbee.Miracle can start looking to find engagements cleanly, although maybe not around the Roshan pit. They can push out these lanes a lot more aggressively.
They're also not really in any huge rush. Queen of Pain's scaling into the late game is decent, but not really comparable to a Dragon Knight who is getting this much farm. We do have Jakiro smoked up on the hunt, very quick as well, but he's going to walk into a whole bunch of heroes. He's tracked up immediately with the BKB Dragon in the front line. He'll be brought down first. Snowball to the back lines. They're going to go straight for Gum, unfortunately leaving Origami behind, but Gum still is going to be a casualty with track involved. Gum is still alive, or Origami rather, is still alive right now, and now Yuan is tracked up. He's going to have a charge available, needs to get it off, but he can't quite cast it. And Christina grabs that one. That's 3 track kills, and the fight might not be over yet. We do still have the Juggernaut. He will Omni Slash the Tusk, but will he get punished for it? Because he's going to run straight into a DK, maybe? No, he slips away off to the side. Now he's going to TP out. No Walrus Punch in the area because, well, Tusk is already dead. But it's still 3 track kills in exchange for a Tusk. That's a huge win for Newbee.
More than a 3k gold swing and 3k experience swing for their team, and now they get a tier 2 tower. This map is starting to become so inhospitable for TerrorBlade. Once they had a pretty significant advantage inside the fights, but it really never got them major objectives, and it didn't stop Newbee.Miracle from farming either. The Dragon Knight and the Phantom Lancer have sat on the top of this net worth chart the entire game, I want to say. Juggernaut in theory can farm very quickly with Mask of Madness battle for a Yasha, but he's just not able to keep up with track gold. That really has been the X factor this game.
Chang has been getting so much cash off of that. He has 3,400 right now. Not sure if upgrading Dagon is what he wants to be doing up against such tanky heroes. Maybe like a... Do they have a Solar Crest already? Or a medallion? Like, if they have a medallion, you could layer him, I guess. But Chang can go for really whatever he wants. And what has he purchased? It's a Yule Scepter completed. That's... Yeah, that's actually pretty good. It saves you a lot of time versus Omni Slash versus Nether Strike. Maybe you could dodge a Sonic Wave or something like that. So yeah, I could see this one working out for the Bounty Hunter. But outside of that, Assault Cuirass is going to be built up very close to being completed on KKK. Just needs that plate mail and 100 gold. And Phantom Lancer, Scotty, Diffusal with another 2,000 gold in the bank with travels already up. No one on TerrorBlade can actually man-fight this Phantom Lancer. They have to hope that they stun him perfectly and kill him off before he can doppelgang and really turn that around.
And their stuns are far from reliable on a Phantom Lancer. The Cold Feet isn't going to be able to proc 9 times out of 10. Bounty Hunter, ooh, he's going to stalk the Ancient Apparition. It's not the easiest of kills for Chang, and he can't go for it solo. So he's not going to try. There was more than enough backup. He's just going to drop the track and leave. This Bounty Hunter has been able to get away with so many cheeky tracks because of the lapse in detection coming out from TerrorBlade.
Oh, but this time, though, there's a Sentry Ward, and Chang, well, he's not invis, so he's just going to lay down another track, then try to get away. That's really awkward. This time he's charged. Spirit Breaker had Dust before, still does have it, but is going to break that charge, not reveal anything extra. All the tier 2 towers are down on the side of TerrorBlade, so Roshan is the objective that Newbee really want to go for right now. The Assault Caress is complete on the DK. He could tank that one while Christina does the damage, especially with a regen rune in backup. This is potentially, however, very dangerous. There is an Ice Ball, a Sonic Wave, and a Jakiro on the other end for TerrorBlade, not to mention an Omni Slash. So, yeah, Chang is going to put some pretty decent vision up, but the charge is incoming. It's going straight for Chang. He has a Yule Scepter. Will he use it to dodge? Yes, he will, as soon as Ayuan gets close enough. Snowball in now with a whole boatload of heroes. Ayuan's going to get the BKB up. Still, Walrus Punch does go through. Doesn't really do that much damage in the back line, though. Dragon Tail onto the Juggernaut. He has Omstock, but he can't quite get it off in time. Kicking with the BKB, doing so much damage right now, forcing everyone back as the Phantom Lancer just charges forward for more. They're going to try to go for Gum right now. Sonic Wave flies through, does next to nothing. Gum down as Longbeat goes straight into a corner. Yeah, this is looking over, man. Jakiro's stuck, and he's going to die as well. This is a free Aegis or tower push for the Newbee side, and TerrorBlade don't get a single kill. I thought they might with a Spirit Breaker wreaking havoc in the back lines, but he didn't do any damage. Like, everyone on Newbee's full.
No, it was really just not a good place to fight for TerrorBlade. It was spread out. They didn't get a good Sonic Wave, or it didn't feel like it was relevant at all, and that's really sad for them. The damage potential isn't there from any of their heroes yet, except for the Juggernaut. He was focused down so quickly. After one stun connected, the chain stun was there and he melted. Black King Bar or not, he just doesn't have enough stats to survive, and melee barracks are going to die in mid. Even though there is a glyph to delay and maybe they can take a fight on the retreat, excuse me. It doesn't matter. The objective has been taken, and this game gets so much harder now that the melee barracks has fallen. Charge forward, trying to catch out 621. The Tusk is going to be able to snowball, cancel into the Walrus Punch. They blow up the Spirit Breaker. With BKB pop, the Juggernaut is doing quite a lot of damage. Sonic Wave will kill off the Tusk, but Sox is eating way too much damage in the front lines. The Omni Slash also just isn't doing enough. They'll Dragon Tail up to Juggernaut, bring him down with right clicks, and oh, Shuriken bounce onto the Queen of Pain, almost going to be lethal. The Urn Tick, it's going to not kill her off because of a little bit of help from the Ancient Apparition. A close call there, survives on 22 HP, but it doesn't matter because their base is in shambles. Range Barracks going to fall in mid afterwards, and Newbee.Miracle can freely go and take the Roshan and go for round 2, go for another set of barracks.
Only Tusk to fall again. So many track kills acquired from the Newbee.Miracle side. It seemed like it was an okay fight for TerrorBlade until Newbee actually turned around with the Phantom Lancer, and this guy has 5,000 gold, but even without that, man, even if he just suddenly lost this gold, like dropped it.
Oh, Gum. Inside the base. Easy kill for Chang with the level 2 Dagon, but will he get out safely? No, with Sonic Wave, it'll be a turnaround for Sox. Still, it's a track kill for Bounty Hunter, although shown inside the kill, Queen Pain got a lot more because of how far ahead Newbee.Miracle are, oh my goodness, I'm chewing my words, are after those last 2 fights.
I don't think that recap counts track gold. It definitely doesn't, right? Even though it should.
I don't think it does, but even with track gold, it's still an advantageous trade for the Queen of Pain by about 180 gold.
Right, so Bounty Hunter down, but still has an Ancient Apparition. That feels real bad. He has had a point booster for so long in this game, yet even with that, he can't really do that much. He would love an Aghanim Scepter, but I don't know if Aghanim Scepter would really swing the game because the items are coming up and then some. On the Newbee side, we got Daedalus being built in the DK, just a casual, straight butterfly for the Phantom Lancer. And yeah, everything else coming up as well. Solar Crest, Guardian Greaves, these nice utility supporty items from the Newbee side, and the Juggernaut really needs to be the one to do the damage. If he's stunned up with the first Dragon Tail or whatever, then obviously that damage is not going to flow. But even after that, we saw the Omnislash in that secondary mid lane fight. he did a lot of damage to the supports, but not really enough because there were so many illusions there. He has to clear out all those illusions, or someone has to do it. Queen of Pain, Jakiro, someone, and then the Omnislash has to happen, but that's just so hard to actually land on a Phantom Lancer, and at this point, even if it does, he just pops right back up again because he has a double life.
Yeah, it's very scary. Phantom Lancer has an illusion rune now on top of everything, and even if the Sonic Wave connects onto the PL himself, his next army of illusions is pretty big. Oh, Chang caught out by the dust over in the sideline. Ice Path to follow, and with a couple of crits, they'll drop him low. Yule Scepter will buy some time for Chang, but it's only going to do that. Phantom Lancer's coming in with the Tusk from the right-hand side. Dazzle will drop the Weave. They'll stun up the Tusk, but he's able to get the Snowball, delaying some more time. Dazzle will die to the Omni Slash, but it just doesn't matter as Christine is standing strong. The Phantom Lancer will be frozen by those cold feet, but he chases forward. No mana on Juggernaut, no hope for survival. He'll turn around for a couple of swings. The Dragonite kills another, and Juggernaut will go down with no buyback. GG called out by TerrorBlade. Their last hope for a victory in the Douyu Dota TV Cup is gone, at least in the group stage.
It feels bad, man. Feels so bad, man. But
Radiant
that was,
victory.
I think the GG call was, it's about that time, right? Like they got the pick off on the Bounty Hunter. They Omni Slash to get another pick off, but after that, they're just completely out of gas. Like, they can't do anything else because their burst damage, again, is pretty nice. That is, again, not your name, but their burst damage is pretty nice, but after they take those kills, that's all they can do. And yeah, the Queen of Pain, like, he has a 23-7 score, massive amounts of kills acquired by the Queen of Pain, but only the Queen of Pain is actually getting those kills. It's a rough situation to be as TB. Now, fortunately for them, this tournament is structured in such a way that means that they don't actually get eliminated, which I guess is kind of nice. But yeah, not having won a single game, having come close in one game that I saw, I don't know about anything else, it doesn't seem like TerrorBlade are going to be lasting in this tournament for much longer.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, they'll have another shot, and we'll just have to see how they perform. In general, I think that their tournament life is close to over, but one can hope for the miracle.
Yeah, that would be incredible. One person bets one Arcana on TerrorBlade. All of a sudden, they have like 50 of them, and then they have like 100 of them, and no one's taking them seriously still. The dream is always real, but for right now, guys, the dream is dead. TerrorBlade are going to end with nothing but losses across the board, and Newbee.Miracle, well, they get their first win. It's 1, 2, and 3. And that's probably not updated completely, but they have a win. That's all that matters. Guys, I'm Mikelorus. We hope you enjoyed the stream. If you liked it, you can follow me at Mikelorus. Follow my co-caster at GrandisV on Twitter. Follow HeflaTV on Facebook and Twitter as well. But for now, that's it. The tournament is going to continue tomorrow. Not sure if the schedule has actually been released yet, but should be about at the same time, 7 CEST. Thanks for watching, guys. GG.